So this session is about digital transformation in chemical supply chain challenges and opportunities. Let me ask you a common question to all. So the first question to all is, where does your company stand with respect to digital transformation in the chemical supply chain? To start with, Raviji, your views, followed up with Sumanto and then Susheel ji and then Devarajan.
Hi, good afternoon everyone, and thank you Pravin for this opportunity. It's always a pleasure to be on this forum, and this is my third edition if I'm not mistaken. Digital transformation is something which is very cornerstone of every organization today. Like if you recently read about an article where the global CEOs top 5 keywords, when they look at it, the digitalization happened to be among the top 5, along with sustainability and other of the key emerging things which have all been discussed upon. So I think there is no, and the same is applies to Reliance also. We have digitalization as a backbone for everything we do, and we would like to look at everything from an end-to-end perspective. And there is in-house company within Reliance. We also are a digital company. We have our Geo's platforms as an in-house company. So we offer a lot of these solutions also for a group company, plus as a service to other organizations. So it's very much embedded as part of our DNA in Reliance.
And Sumanto ji, your views?
Yeah, thanks Pravin ji, first of all, for a lovely introduction and for inviting me over here. So good afternoon, everybody. I know we are just coming in between you and lunch, so we'll try and keep it very short and sweet. About my company, I've joined Finolex Industries Limited just 5 months back, and it's a 40-year-old legacy company into pipes and fittings, PVC pipes and fittings, and the only company in India and second in Asia to be backward integrated into our own resin manufacturing. So yeah, so Finolex, as I said, from a legacy standpoint, the focus has always been on 2 things. One is quality, and second is customer service, right? And we've realized that we have been quite lagging behind in terms of embracing digital solutions. So we have embarked on a journey to embrace the digital transformation solutions to help improve efficiency, profitability, overall across the business processes, across multiple functions, and also our manufacturing sites. Maybe that's the reason why I've joined the company and why I'm there, to help the company to take it to the next level of transformation. I'm supporting the digital initiatives, not just in procurement, but across multiple functions within the group. Thank you. Looking forward to an interesting journey.
Susheel ji, your views?
Thank you again also from my side, and good afternoon to all. Happy to be here. This is my first time. So I come from Laxmi Organic at the moment, and we're actually in the middle of our digital transformation of supply chain. And we have a very ambitious but very exciting journey. We want to increase our digital footprint in our supply chain to more than 80% in a very short amount of time. And it's just not implementing tech. We want to change the way we take decisions. We want that to be database and data that is clean, that is accurate. We want to provide our leaders and people to be able to execute those decisions through digitalized workflows. So yep, as I said, it's challenging but exciting, and happy to talk about more.
Devarajan ji, would you talk about some of the initiatives that your company is doing with respect to chemicals supply chain?
First of all, thank you Pravin and team for having this particular session focusing on digital. I think thanks to the Indian Chemical team for setting this up. Myself, Devarajan Iyengar, I head the procurement for BASF Chemetall division for India. I'm also a global strategy manager, joined the organization recently. Before I get to that question, I would like to use the opportunity also to thank Indian Chemical team to connect me and my ex-colleague Sumanto. Long back, we were colleagues in Bayer, and today we are first time having the opportunity to reconnect in a dais. And that is also thanks to a digital way of looking at the topics, right? Because you digitally reached out to us. Coming back to the topic, I would say that today, for a corporate strategy, digital is a foundational pillar, and that gets percolated across the various functions to drive their digital agenda. Same with BASF Chemetall. We are those progressive operating model organization where we strongly believe adoption of digital is a prerequisite to diversify and change the operating model the way you work. And it's a strong enabler for the employees and not a disruptor. So that's the foundational aspect we carry. And to answer your question, the foundational pillar needs technology partners, and this is exactly where procurement plays a pivotal role of integrating the digital unmet needs of the organization by finding the right technology partner, and we will come to that in terms of a discussion. But that's exactly where the journey is, and I must say, it's a very dynamic and a transformative journey.
So what I'm doing is I have prepared a list of questions, but I'm not going through that because of paucity of time. After having learned what they have or what they have done, now I would like to ask them what they are planning to do. So in future, what measures are you taking with respect to digital transformation to make the chemical supply chain and logistics in your company more seamless and more efficient and more productive? To start with Devarajan ji.
I would say earlier digital, the assumption of digital was a standard standalone ERP system. And we used to think of the data which is getting into that system because to run the business, you need to put in the data into a ERP system. But now we realize there are so many use cases in the chemical supply chain which has an opportunity for us to look at digital. Let me give you an example of a use case. A few years back, I had a multi-million euro contract to be negotiated with a China supplier partner, which was a renewal of a contract for a key raw material that they were supplying to us as a customer. Now, interestingly, the supplier partner from China was trying to put across multiple amounts of cost increases due to raw material price changes happening in that particular market. And we're all aware that China as a market for us sitting out of India could be a black box unless you have a very close network there to understand the China landscape. While we were trying to address the raw material pricing scenario, interestingly, we realized that the contract which we were talking to renew had a clause where the Chinese supplier partner was supposed to pass on operational efficiency consumption norm benefits as part of their learning curve because we were going for a multi-year contract. But when they came for a price negotiations, it was only about the price increase, but not tapping on this particular clause that is already available in the contract. Now for us, as procurement sources, it was somewhere lying in the 46th page of a 150 document, which we completely missed out to look at as a function, and also cross-functionally to look at what happened to the implementation. So the entire organization had a black box in a contract 48th page of a 140 document because it was not in a digitalized format. Or probably it was not a format where when you go for a negotiations, it comes up as one of your watch-outs which you could leverage on in terms of negotiations. For me, that's a use case. The use case to see how we can digitalize contracts and how we can readily have that information available when you go for intense commercial complex negotiations happening. Beyond this, one more use case to clarify. Especially in the chemical industry, we talk about key starting materials, we talk about active ingredients, where we have a significant dependency on the manufacturing side of our supplier partner, how it is in terms of HSE audits, and how critical it is in terms of the way they have their tier 1, tier 2 supplier partners been partnered with. And there are instances where they are expected to tell us proactively if they change their manufacturing location because we have that as part of our registration towards our regulatory bodies. Now, all this is a manual effort that we currently have. And for me, that's a use case where we could probably look at integrating fragmented data across several touch points in the IT landscape, which probably today doesn't have an end-to-end visibility, and that becomes a very key strategic value proposition for us to drive forward. So to summarize, we are just at the tip of the iceberg of what we could do by digitalization. The key element for that is to have this kind of a digital mindset towards challenging the tech partners with very complex use cases, which can eventually drive value for the organization.
Susheel, Mittal ji, your views. What are the projects which you are working, which will have an impact in future?
Sure. I'd like to take a slight step back before I come to that question. And I come from chemical industry, and some of you and in the audience know that chemical industry at the moment is facing a little longish downtrend. And we don't know at the moment when this will turn, and if this will turn, and what impact it will have. And in this environment, and further to that, I think what's happening around the tariff situation, or even the shipping globally, I think we all know the challenges. When we look at all that, from supply chain point of view, we're dealing with day-to-day disruptions. And when I read the theme here, which directly feeds into that, resilience, how do you respond to that? You need to be able to offer even better service to customers. You need to be able to offer differentiated services. You need to be able to cut cost at the same time while offering better service. So I think we're being asked to deliver more and more. And that's the context that cannot be solved or dealt with without technology and without having agile supply chain, which is digital. So that's a little bit the overall context. From our own point of view, when I arrived, I'm about a year in this role. I started asking some questions. Yeah? We typically start with looking at what's my cost, what's my vendor base, where is the opportunity, what can I do to improve our services. And what I realized is that the answers took some time to come. And then depending on who I'm asking, sometimes the answers were slightly or very different. And that sort of led to this realization that we need to do better in terms of how we collect data, how we analyze it, and how we use it for our decision making. Not only that, there was a lot of, everybody was busy. And that's also usual, right? People are very busy, not only in supply chain, but beyond supply chain. And I realized that most of the colleagues, most of the team members are busy doing things which are very repetitive, using a lot of Excel sheets. And that sort of was the basis on which we initiated our supply chain transformation. And of course, digitalization is really key to that. So what we're doing, of course, we are doing the very boring stuff, looking at all our supply chain processes, redesigning them, rewriting them from scratch, hardwiring them in the, again, ERP system, because that's the go-to system. On top, we're looking at completely revamping our planning process from an end-to-end point of view. Bringing tech into that, using tech for forecasting so that I can release time for my sales. This data that we will collect through these systems will go to one place. We are implementing a data lake solution. And on top, we will bring in a control tower that gives us the visibility to track our supply chain from an end-to-end point of view. This all is going to be done in a very short span amount of time, and I know this is very ambitious, but from the lens of what we're planning to do, that's really what is in scope for us.
Sumanto ji, your views.
Yeah, sure. So I would like to touch upon a couple of challenges which we are facing in Finolex, and I'm sure it's common across multiple industries, and looking at how we can convert those challenges into opportunities. So one is, of course, we've been talking about is data, right? So we hear always people saying data is the new oil, and it's all about monetizing the data, right? So to make informed decisions. That brings me to the second point. One was data, second is the information. So for any business to run, efficiently, it's very, very critical to have the right information, okay, with the right individual at the right time. Right. So how do we get that? So I think these are the two challenges that is, inherent in our industry as well. Operating multiple locations. Let me give you an example of such a complexity, right? As I said, Finolex is into manufacturing of pipes, PVC pipes, as well as fittings. Now let me talk about fittings, which you get to see in your household, in your bathrooms, and all across multiple uses. Finolex uses more than 2,000 tools across 4 manufacturing sites, deploying 240 machines, operating day in, day out. And you can imagine, okay, the level of downtime and inefficiencies it could have, the risks with the quality of the tools, with the daily operations wear and tear. We found that we had major challenge in terms of productivity downtime, with molds, not being tracked properly in terms of the health of the tools, okay, and the machine as well, the machine efficiencies and also. There's a huge opportunity for us, or challenges trying to convert into opportunities by use of technology, IoT, RFID systems. That's a big project that I'm driving within the organization, how to integrate the machines and the tools in such a way that you are able to get the right information at the right time, which helps in informed decision, whether it is preventive maintenance or even in predictive analytics, and bring in another aspect into it, which is planning. Okay, how efficiently you can plan. It's all about utilization of your resources, right? It's all about utilization of your resources. The better you're able to utilize the resources, whether it is man, machine, okay, materials, okay, and that's how you're able to get benefit for your business. So this is something I thought I would like to share, that technology is there, it's out there. It's all about how do you embrace and use it at the right areas. Okay, so my advice to all of my colleagues in the industry is always start with your pain points. Okay, it's very difficult, very, very challenging to drive digitization across the organization from a cost and an ROI perspective. I've faced this in and out, so it's always advised to identify your pain points, which is impacting your profitability, okay, and then prioritize, okay, the implementation of digitization. So PPP, right? Pain points, profitability, and prioritization.
Raviji, you have been what we can say spearheading a lot of digitization projects in your company. And have you completed all, or there is something which is still remaining to be done, which you feel that will add, as he talked about PPP, pain points, profitability, and the third one? Prioritization.
Yeah. Digitization is a sort of a continuous improvement cycle. And even in Reliance, I can say that, yes, this is an ongoing initiative for us. Like my colleagues have already spoken about various initiatives they are taking up in procurement side or manufacturing side, because supply chain is a very wide gambit. I'll speak of specifically about 2-3 initiatives which are specifically in the logistics areas. We all know in chemical supply chain, compliance and safety are something which is very, very of paramount importance and which keeps on bothering us and keeps us awake in the night. All the logistics professionals will share the similar philosophy which I am expressing. Here what we are trying to do is we are trying to leverage some of the initiatives which are also coming under the national logistics policies. The ULIP integration, which is a real, I'll say, game changer. We are trying to leverage it to the extent possible. And when we have got mega sites where we handle hundreds and thousands of vehicles every day, even a simple thing like getting the authenticity of the vehicle checked is a task by itself. Like, to give you a scale, my Jamnagar site must be operating with nothing less than 50 to 60 weighbridges only inside the complex. So just to verify the authenticity of the truck coming in, if I were to manually check everything, it's going to be a mammoth task. That's for like one use case of digitization. So we are trying to utilize ULIP technology where we leverage and directly interface with the Vahan portal of Government of India or the Sarthi portal to fetch the driver details, and we can do an online verification of the vehicle and the driver. So that's one use case which we are implementing across the sites. On safety, in the earlier panel, there was this discussion about the ADAS cameras. We were one of the front runners here and we already have gone live. But having said that, it is easier. Digitization cannot be a technology demonstration exercise. Unless the operations team is really fully involved and takes ownership for that, it is going to be just noise and know exactly the data signals that's coming out. Because if your objective is to monitor safety and improve safety, you need to have systems in place which can utilize that signal coming out, the right signal, and take real-time corrective action. So that's the big challenge we are facing. We have the technology which is already implemented, but just imagine that camera, if it throws out hundreds and thousands of alerts every day, it is humanly impossible to attend to that. How do we get them right alerts and then act on that in a proactive manner? These are some of the challenges we are working on. I think I would just stop at this stage. I can go on speaking on this subject, but I'm very passionate about road safety.
And one thing which I wanted to add is, with so much of data and with so much of solutions that you are providing, are you packaging it? And because Reliance has a habit of also selling the solutions after experimenting and working on it. So is there a possibility that these solutions would be given to other chemical companies so that they can utilize because of your expertise in handling it in a large, complex environment with so many trucks? And so any plans on that, sir?
Yeah, yes, definitely, because if it's all in the public domain. We already have a digital solutions company, Geo Platforms, which is exclusively working on these areas. Like it's already offering some of the solutions like the NIC portal integration, it's already available. The GeoSigner solution, which is already available. Even on the track and trace domain, we have a company called GeoHumSafar, which is a vehicle tracking system and ADAS camera integration. So while we always in-house experimentation is the first priority, but once the product gets matured, we would like to definitely monetize that and then offer it as solutions to the entire industry so that everybody grows and everybody gets benefits out of it.
Then one last question from all. The basic problem is about talent management. With these new technologies coming in, whether it is IoT, blockchain, drone, anti-drone, whatever that you call, then the DAS device that Netradyne people were talking about. So all these, or IoT devices, all these require a lot of expertise where you need to partner or you have to build in-house capability. So how are you coping up with these and how are you moving so that you can benefit from this and also keep your top line and bottom line in check? Over to Raviji.
Yes, you rightly, and you brought up a very important piece of issue which we are currently facing. With more and more adoption of technology, the training needs are really coming as a big requirement, and we need to ensure that the people at all the levels, the front end, like for example, if I talk about logistics, the front end drivers, getting them used to driving with an ADAS camera on in a cabin is a cultural change. There are privacy issues around it. There are issues in terms of educating them. So unless we really show the value of that technology to the actual stakeholder, which is the driver in this case, he's not going to adopt that. So that's the reason we always harp upon things like what is there for every stakeholder. So like in this case, when we have a sort of 24/7 control room which monitors my 100% hazardous cargo movement. And in case of an accident, when there is a camera which is available and that is actually helping the driver to prove his point that yes, he was not on the wrong side or he didn't do anything wrong. So those messages actually reinforce it. So making training at the is a very core thing. Similarly, like at the driver training level, during induction, we are using things like simulators, which ensures that before we actually start using him on the road, we test him on simulators, and then we get the right side of training needs identified for him. Similarly, the middle management or the people who are managing these people, they also needs to be equally trained. Because people are used to working in legacy systems. So even, like for example, every organization today talks of dashboards. Dashboards is a very common thing, and every other organization, every company is implementing dashboards. But unless the operating team is aligned and sort of used to looking at these dashboards and really take out meaningful data-driven decisions, this is not going to help. Other things about training the various collaborative stakeholders, because supply chain is all about a beautiful orchestra which has to be played by all people. So unless every stakeholder is aligned and sort of is synced to their entire philosophy, it's not going to work. So training is one important area, and we're taking it very seriously with the organization.
If you can add on this, whatever Raviji has said.
Yeah, sure. I think the dramatic pace, with which the technology is evolving and changing is quite scary. Okay, I feel scared at times, right? So of being outdated. So it's absolutely, imperative for us to first be aware of this, be cognizant of the fact that what is relevant today will not be relevant tomorrow. So it's about time that we realize this and work proactively in terms of upskilling ourselves. And in order to do so, I think one of the most important thing is to unlearn what we had learned in past. Okay, so a lot of things, a lot of baggage we carry, our past experience, which would have been relevant then, but not relevant moving forward. So unlearning what we had learned is very important. And second, coming to being very practical about embracing technology and the skill sets, need to understand the intellectual diversity of the team, understand the strengths and weaknesses, and start from top. Okay, so always at times we make a mistake of starting from bottom. The budgeting exercise can happen bottom up, but the training has to happen from top. So first, the leadership mindset, the leadership needs to understand what artificial intelligence, machine learning, agentic AI, generative AI means. Okay, how can we leverage blockchain technologies? Okay, what is in it for the business? How can we transform our business? Okay, how can we compete better? What is our competition doing? Okay, what are the global best practices? So it has to come from top. So the leadership team at the CXO level and above needs to be educated first about what's happening, what's out there from a technology standpoint. Okay, and then develop the strategy as to what you want to do for the organization. Okay, and then go at a functional level to identify the right set of people. Okay, identify initiative champions who are going to lead certain initiatives across multiple areas, be it finance, be it HR, be it supply chain, be it procurement, be it operations, be it quality, right? And then, okay, impart the right kind of skill sets, okay, in the technology domain. So I would say my learning so far has been start from the top, okay, and then try to identify and the initiative champions to further help, okay, execute those initiatives.
Susheel ji, your views,
Yeah.
and then to Devarajan ji.
Sure, thank you. Good. Actually, this is one of the very, very important aspect of how we are implementing digital, using digital, and making it successful in our goals. So a couple of additional topics from my side. One is that I think we don't need to do everything ourselves, first of all. So we should be very careful in deciding and selecting what do we want to do in-house, what do we outsource or partner with. We need people, so obviously the knowledge, the skill base has changed. We need people who pull technology, who pull who can develop use cases from a perspective of embracing technology. And thirdly, I'm a big fan of workflows. Think through, when we are implementing technology, how people are using or working today, what decisions are they taking, what problems they are solving. And that's a little the human-centric design of technology. And if we focus from that point of view, then the adoption becomes much faster and much better.
Very well captured by the co-panelists, and I would say that on top of this, I would like to just re-emphasize this fact that, especially for the chemical industry, there is a lot of untapped, unmet use cases that we can look at for digital adoption. The first most important parameter which each one of us should sign up as a chemical industry professional is to accept the fact that, are we looking at digital implementations as a threat or an opportunity? Because prima facie, the fear of digital being an insecurity towards your job is the first barrier towards adopting it. And that needs to be challenged across the levels. The second thing that we need to focus on is, we need to not be overemphasized about which technology for a specific use case, but first figure out what the use case is and what is the value for that particular impacted resource who is going to face that particular adoption. So just to extend this example of the driver who is carrying a chemical, and transportation safety is a very critical element for which he is responsible for on behalf of the organization for whom he is transporting that particular material. And what's the impact we are talking about? For some reason, God forbid, if he drowses or if he ensures to not manage the truck in the right way, the impact could be significant loss of death or fatality across the place where he may have an accident. Yeah. Now, if he starts realizing that particular impact, then probably he becomes much more mature towards understanding what's the importance of having that kind of technology towards him. Let's take it one step further. We are not just talking about predictive analysis for him, what needs to be done if an incident happens. How can that particular driver be supported with technology where there is a prescriptive analysis of what he or she needs to do when an incident happens? Like, for example, extending the use case of Google Map. When you are getting stuck and you want to understand which are the different routes to go forward for a specific time-bound critical decision that you need to take, you are allowing Google Map to enable you to prescribe what are the further set of actions to be done. Extend that particular use case towards a driver. God forbid an incident has happened, even though there was a kind of a tool like Nair offered. But once the incident happens, what is it that we can give the driver a technology by which he or she need not worry about what's the next set of actions to be taken? Challenge these kind of use cases towards your technology partners. Coming to whether the technology has to be developed in-house or outsourced, I think that's more of an organizational strategy based on how you would like to invest in that particular case. But the predominant foundational aspect that you need to focus on as professionals is to understand what's the value of that particular technology for the impacted individual who has to use it. And once that is put in place, and once we go towards achieving that, and we have a buy-in with regards to the value that gets created for that particular individual, I think the adoption is much more faster to be taken up. Of course, the change management training is a very critical pillar of having a successful adoption rate.
So with this, we end up this session. A big round of applause for all our speakers.